Okay, so I'm just out on my walk again today, and I've collected some twigs and branches. So this is all you'll just need for today's session. We're going to do some weaving. So I was out on my walk, and any twigs, branches, sticks, anything at all, no matter what shape or size, I was just lifting them up and I'm going to be taking them home now. They are a bit wet, it's a bit wet today, so if they are wet, that's absolutely fine. We can still go home and weave with them, it's not an issue. When they're wet, they actually bend better, they won't snap. So it's best to actually do this and go home if they are wet and do it then. So yeah, if you're doing this for the whole family, remember to lift quite a few, because if the whole family is going to get involved in this and you want to make a few of them, it's good to have a bit extra then in case any do snap. What we're going to do is just now look at what sticks to use to create the loom. So I'll show you an example of one that I've made earlier. Now this is only one I'm going to show as an example because these are two different methods of creating the loom. But I have used a triangle shape. So you might go for then the thicker sticks because they can withstand you pulling with the string better. Whereas a wee kind of twig like this, it would just snap and it's too bendy. Now, I unfortunately didn't have any sticks that had a Y shape. So if you're looking at this one and you see how this is like a Y here, if you do have a stick that's like that, but a thicker version, like a thick stick like this one, then you're able to actually use it as a loom and you're able to go back and forth already, and it's like already a pre-made loom. But because I don't have, I'm just going to move all those skinnier wee sticks to the side. So even that one's probably too skinny. So really, if I'm looking at making a loom, I would need like a triangle shape, or you can still do it with just two sticks and you'd just be joining them and you'd have like a V shape. So it's up to yourself. You can even do like an X, and you can make like a loom this way. You could make a square, and you could do the loom within the square. So you have so many different possibilities. So since this one's a triangle, I'm going to do maybe a different shape. I'll maybe do an X just to show you something else. So what we're going to begin with now that we've picked our sticks is that we're going to join the sticks. Now, I've been using string, but if you don't have string, wool can do it as well. So I've got different colours here with me, but anything at all, string, rope, and that's just to kind of tie those sticks together. So you're just going to be wrapping them around and then you'll tie it off into like a wee knot. So let's maybe do that first. So getting my string and then cutting off a wee bit. Okay, so I'm roughly just going to put them so that they're in the center, and then just tie them. Now there's no really neat way to do this. You just got to keep kind of tying them around until it feels secure. So it might take a wee while and then go the other way, so that's kind of forming an X even on the center. And pull it quite tight as well. That just means the sticks might be a little bit more taut as well. Okay, and I'm just going to tie them. Now, let's see. That stick on top does seem like it's wiggling a bit, but once you actually do a wee knot at the top, and I'll do a wee double knot, you will find that they will stay better. Okay, so there's a slight wee movement, but that's still fine. Now we're going to be doing then the loom. So I'll show my example again of the two different types. So We have this one, which is actually just a single flat one surface. Now, I haven't completely finished tucking my wee bits in, so just ignore them. But this one is done by creating like a figure 8 with the string, so it went up and down like this, like the figure 8. And that's how you create the 1. Then if you were to do this one, which is creating actually 2 sides, so there'd be a front and there'd be a back. So if you imagine, this one is only done as an example, which is why I've done 2 different ones. But if you were to pick which one you want to do, if you pick this one, that would be the full triangle. And that would look the same. It would have maybe like a good side and a bad side, because you'll have like the wee tied knots on one end. This one, however, if you decided to do this one, it would have 2 different sides. So this one would all be maybe the purple and the green. And then this one may be all orange. And all your wee tied knots should actually be behind in these wee bits, so you wouldn't actually see them. This one has been created by a different method, so you can see there's no string going in between. So the figure 8 would involve a bit of string coming into that center, but there's not. So it is actually created by doing straight lines across. So I'll show you first this one, which is the figure 8. So we're going to take this and take our string and cut a bit of string then to get started. So even if you don't end up actually giving yourself enough string, let's say we're making our loom and you get to here and you ran out of string, that's okay. You can just tie it off and then you add string again and just continue. So we're going to begin by just doing a knot on one of the wee branches. I also just did a double knot so that it felt secure on the branch. So to make then, as I said, the wee single one, it's doing like the figure 8. So we'll start, and this string is actually underneath the branch. So we're going to hold the branches in the position we want them. So if you wanted them wider, you can hold them wider. And if you want them tighter together, you can just move them. It may seem like it's still quite fragile at the minute and is moving a bit much. But once you start this loom, you'll actually find it'll become quite taut. So from then this wee bit of string that's underneath, it's going to come up. So it's going like that from underneath one stick, comes up above the other one. Then you're going to do a full circle, that just makes sure that it's secure. And then you'll find you're at the bottom of this stick now. And then you're going to then do the same, where you're going to come then up on this stick. Now, where you do this also depends on where that line is. So if you end up doing a curl here, there's a big gap, or you could maybe do it like that and it's maybe too close together. So you want it to be quite even and maybe close enough together, because you're going to be weaving things through it. So if you're weaving wool, you want it to be maybe quite close together. But you can also weave with other things. So I've brought like paper, other wee bits and bobs, cleaning stuff around the house, even like packaging from purchasing stuff, or tissue paper. And you know what? You could even weave with the sticks as well. So whenever we have this, we could actually weave that through it. So it depends on what you're planning to weave with. So I'm just going to move those stuff. So now I'm going to do about that much of a gap on mine. And then we're going to do the same thing. So you're going around the branch one full time. And now we're under the branch. So we're going to go above the branch. Wrap around once. And then we're underneath this branch and we're going up. So it's just that figure 8 constantly. And you might need to shuffle things over just to do that wee straight line that you want. And then going across. And going across. and doing that full loop. Now that's all the string I have left on this side, so that's not going to be enough to really get to this side, do a full loop and also tie it off. So I'm actually just going to end it there. So just to then make this secure, I loosen it slightly so that this loop sticks out, so I can kind of tie the string through it. My loop needs to be a wee bit looser. There we go. Okay. And then I pull it tight. And I do a knot. And then I might do another wee loop. It's just to make sure that it doesn't kind of come apart. You definitely don't want any wee loose bits coming off. So it can be quite tricky work because it's quite fiddly just because it's with string. Okay, and then that's that. Okay, so once you feel like it is secure, you'll know yourself just by feeling it. So mine didn't feel secure, which is why I done more. And then I can cut that. Where's the other one? There's the other one there. And cut that. So I can always tidy them up also later. It's just to get the big long bits out of my way. So this is the bad side, as I call it, the back. And this is how the front looks. So that's how that one is made. Okay, now we're going to try the other one. So again, we're going to take some string. Now this one might take a bit more string than what your other one does, just because you're making two sides. So there's a bit cut off. Now just to do the same, turn it over and make a knot. And just make sure it feels secure to you. Okay, so I think it feels all right. Okay, turning it back over to the good side. So you're always going to do a straight line for this one. So this string is at the bottom of the stick. So we're going to continue being at the bottom. Then we're going to loop around, and then you'll find, oh, this string is now at the top of the stick. So you're going to stay on the top like that and go across. Do a circle, and then we find ourselves at the bottom, and we're going to stay in the bottom. Do a circle. Now the string's on top, and we're going to the top. And you just continue this. So it's just like straight lines instead. So wherever the string is on the stick, you just continue at that top or bottom, depending where it is. Okay, now you can see again my string. I won't have enough for another go. So I'm going to stop it here. Create then a knot and make sure it feels secure, and then cut off the edges. Okay, so now you can see the two differences there. So one is like the figure 8, and the other one you can see has nothing down the center. So you can see how this one is going to have two faces and how this one is going to be just all flat with the string or wool or whatever you want. It can just be simply paper or material, if you have any like old dishcloths or anything at all. So what I'll do is first show you in this one. So you're going to be just really going up and down, so just depending on where you begin. So we'll say we're going to start going from the bottom of that one, then we're going to go over the next one, then we're going under the next one, then we're going to go over the next one, and you keep doing that. It's like a wee snake going up and down, and just pinch that through. And once you've got to the end, so there's the end of it now, pull that Now you don't want to pull it too much because then that means the strings just came out. And I would again just leave a wee bit at the top because you're going to be having to tie it in. So now that we've done that once, we're going to reverse and do it backwards. Now you're going to do the opposite of what you've done. So you see this very last one, that the orange was underneath the string. Now we're going to put this orange above that string, and then you're doing underneath and then above and underneath, and you keep going like that, and you'll find that that is the absolute opposite of what you done last time. So we're just going to continue doing that a few lengths, and I'm just going to speed this up so you're not having to watch this all quite slow. It does take a wee bit of time. Okay, so now I'm going to add in actually another colour because I'm running out of orange there. So I'm going to do some purple. Now it's the exact same thing, so cut off a wee bit. And you're just going to look at how you last ended. So last time I ended, the orange at the bottom here was on top. So that means continuing from here, the purple needs to be underneath this one. So let's just continue like that. You may also find that as you add more, it gets quite narrow and tricky to continue doing the weaving throughout all of the string. So for me, the left hand side got a bit narrow, that then I stopped adding any wool around the very last piece of string, and instead I only went to the second last. You can continue changing this just depending on what shape you've done, but it's okay to drop out some pieces of string. So now just to show you how you tie it off. Now you could keep still going with that one. Now there's two different ways you could tie it off. So if your maybe mum has like a wee needle or something, you could thread that through and thread it through the back. Now I just don't have a needle on me at the minute, so I'm just going to take those purple bits and I'm just going to double knot. Not too tight though, because if you pull it too tight, you'll find that it'll pull too much. So I did one knot first. So I'll show you again. So the two bits, go to knot them, but just do it quite loosely. So just like that. You still see actually it is very loose, but it's just going to hold it in place. So, and then the next one you can do tighter. Okay, and then we'll just cut off some of those wee bits. Okay, that is now the weaving complete. So it is that basic idea of under and over, and it'll just be the exact same for this one as well. So whenever if you were picking to do this one, or if you wanted to try doing both of the two different styles, the way you think of this one is really there's two different surfaces. One is the front, one is the back. So just to remind yourself, you can put your wee hand just into it, and then whenever you're weaving, you're just going to weave through these ones that you can see, and then once you do that, then it's just the exact same on the other side. Now you can weave, as I did say, with many different things. I used wool as an example just because wool comes in many different colours. So this here just gives you an example of a few bits of colours I had sitting around, wee bits of leftover wool. They didn't have to be big full balls, but you can make like wee triangles, diagonals, different things like that, just by getting to a point and then, you know, here the shallow stopped weaving around these last strings and then I came down again. So that's absolutely fine to do. And you can add and take away a string as much as you like. So this shallow was added just to do a small bit. Then I added it later on to do another wee small bit and cut it off, etc. And then at the end of it, you would just be putting them all into the back of it and sewing them down in there, or else tying them off. So it's the same when working with this. And if you did have any small sticks or twigs whenever you were out, you can also turn this into like a natural woven piece of art as well. So with the smaller wee twigs, now if they're wet, they kind of bend a bit better than what this one is for me. But you can do the same thing. You can get leaves and flowers as well. But it's just doing the same thing of over and under, and then doing the opposite thing with the next one that comes through. So there is just another wee example with the 2 bits. Now, having 2 things doesn't really show much, but it's whenever you keep going and you add more that then it really fills out. So you can add some lovely flowers, maybe add a bit of colour in, add some grass, anything at all. Or you could go down tissue paper, cut out wee bits of tissue paper in different colours, wee strips. Any bits and bobs just around the house, pipe cleaners, or I did even say about like packaging. So like this, it's just then cutting off a strip of it, using maybe stuff that is in your bin and recycling it just to turn it into then a piece of art. So I hope you really enjoyed doing that with me today, and it can take a bit of time to do, but I would love to see what you all have created.